Australia's reliance on iron ore exports is well known, but it is also the country's Achilles heel and comes with significant risks. These have been laid bare in the contradictory position Australia finds itself in over the issue of Chinese electric vehicles, which are swamping auto markets around the world. NBR's Underarm correspondent in Sydney, Lachlan Calhoun, has been looking at this and joins me now. Lachlan, tell us about Australia's iron ore dependence on China.
Well, Dita, the numbers are quite compelling. Each year, Australia sells in total about $125 billion worth of iron ore. That's more than a quarter of our total exports as a country. 85% of that $125 billion, so just over $100 billion in exports of iron ore, goes to China. So we're very much dependent on the Chinese economy for that demand. And of course, the demand buoys the price, and the price has been very firm over the last couple of years. So recently, in all the building and construction boom in China over the last 30 years, at the core of those were steel girders, largely made from Australian iron ore exported to China and turned into steel. Now, of course, now that there's a property bust in China, you'd think that would be affecting Australia. But what's happened is that the EV market and the auto market has picked up that slack. So it's been we've gone from providing iron ore for property to iron ore for EVs. And of course, the other thing is that the Chinese 60% of the iron ore that they source comes from us. So it's a very mutually dependent relationship. And it's often said that the Australian dollar itself is a proxy for Australia's relationship with China and the iron ore price. So the mutual dependence is totally enmeshed.
Despite that, there does seem to be a bit of back and forward at the moment about China's investment in resources in Australia. Can you explain that a bit?
Well, yes, absolutely. So while we're quite happy to export as much iron ore as they want, when it comes to their investment in Australia, particularly in the rare earths sector, lithium and nickel and other rare earths, that seems to be a strategic no-go area. And only this week we've had the situation where the government is forcing Chinese investors who've got about just under 10% of a stake in a company called Northern Minerals, which is a rare earth miner operating in WA. They wanted to increase their stake to about 19.9%, which is the threshold for announcing a takeover of a company. So they're going to be stopped from doing that. The government says that it's not in the national interest, though perhaps if they were US or Kiwi investors, we wouldn't be so sensitive to it. So while on the one hand, yes, bulk commodities are fine, when it comes to strategic minerals, rare earths that are part of this growing global confrontation on geopolitics, we are very strict and not letting the Chinese get involved in it. It's funny, the Treasurer's spokesperson said that Australia ran a non-discriminatory foreign investment regime, but it seems to be quite the opposite. We seem to be actively discriminating against Chinese investment in that sector of our resources industry.
Yes, it's pretty stark, isn't it? What is the risk to the iron ore sector in doing this?
Well, I guess what's happening with the EVs in particular is that Chinese EVs are now swamping the world, as you said in your intro. In Australia, China has gone from being a laggard in providing cars into the local market. They've just tipped off the South Koreans to be number 3 in selling cars into the Australian market. Many of them are EVs. In 2025, I think the Chinese auto industry is going to create 36 million EVs. So that industry is state subsidised. It's going gangbusters. So it's crucial for Australia to be providing the steel for that. But yet at the same time, we have a situation where the US has just announced a big increase in tariffs on Chinese EVs, gone from 25% to 100%. The EU has been talking about this for a while. They say they're going to be making an announcement in June. Who knows what will happen if Donald Trump gets in? Perhaps they'll be banning Chinese EVs from the roads in America if he becomes re-elected. So the bizarre situation is that Australia is incredibly dependent on the Chinese EV market, and yet a country which is our biggest ally is now basically raising the protectionist walls, and that could really hurt us as well.
Absolutely. Lachlan, thank you so much.
Cheers, Jetta.
To support our award-winning independent journalism, subscribe to nbr.co.nz.